Rightio here. Welcome to Thursday. Thursday is always a battle of the debuts. This should be the last in this format for a month, and then we're going on to something else which I'll explain a bit later. So today we're going to look at two American bands, Kiss and Angel. Now, we know a lot about Kiss, and Angel are a band that Gene Simmons discovered and got them signed to Casablanca Records. So there is a connection between these two bands. But as usual, who had a better debut album? So as usual, we'll start with the band that released their album first, and it was Kiss, of course. And we don't have to go into the history of Kiss, because we've covered lots of Kiss on here, but there's that classic lineup of Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss that is the most popular. So the debut album, Kiss, was released on the 18th of February 1974, and much of the material that was on the album was written by Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley as members of their pre-Kiss band called Wicked Lester. Yeah, it was co-produced by Richie Rise and just took 13 days to record. And it was recorded at the Bell Sound Studios in New York, which was owned by their Buddha Records Neil Bogart, the founder of Casablanca Records. So on the album we have Paul Stanley, of course, on rhythm, guitar and vocals, Gene Simmons on the bass and vocals, Peter Criss on drums, Ace Frehley lead guitar, backing vocals. Additional personnel on here is Bruce Foster on acoustic piano and additional guitar. So I said co-produced by Kenny Kerner and Richie Wise. So, first track on here is a classic. Good way to start your debut album, a track that became a classic, and that is Strutter. Always been a great track. One of my favourite songs by Kiss. Then we get Nothing to Lose. Strong riffs on this. It's a really good vocal here from Paul Stanley. Like that. Firehouse. Good stuff. Some really good riffs here, and you've got some great guitar playing from Ace Frehley and a really strong bass line from Gene Simmons. Then we get Cold Gin. It's not too bad, this one, not a particular favourite of mine, but it's got some good drumming here from Peter. Let Me Know. Now this is just a really good rock and roll track. Does what it says on the tin, really. It's really good. Kissin Time. Nice little rocker again from the band. Gene Simmons, really strong bass line. Then we get Deuce, classic from the band. Love that track as well. Then we get the Love Theme from Kiss. It's an instrumental. Really nice guitar work here. It's pretty good. 100,000 Years, another solid track. Just what it says on the tin, really. Again, and then we end Black Diamond. This is a great track. It's got a really good guitar solo here from Ace. The bass line is awesome from Gene. And I like how it's slows down as if you've got on an old record player that's failed. It's always my favourite bit of that track. And what do I think of this one? Well, it's a really good debut album. It's got some really good tracks on it. Two classics that still are classics. Yeah, it was a good start for them. Obviously they went on to they got better and better, and then they got worse and worse. So they went round full circle. So what did the critics think? Well, it didn't go down. It flopped a little bit because despite the band promoting and touring, it only sold 75,000 copies. But by June it had been certified as gold, having shipped 500,000 copies. It was re-released in a remastered version in 1997. In 2003, Kiss was included in the spin list of essential glam rock albums. And Gene and Ace have said this is their favourite album. So it got to number 87 in America. Didn't chart over here. 54 in Japan. But it did get gold and in America and Canada, so it took a little while to get going. There's not many reviews on the album because it just sort of flopped a little bit. So let's have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. Yeah, there's some really good songs on it. And Gene and Paul wrote most of these pre-Kiss. There's two classics, Strutter and Deuce. The others are okay. They're not brilliant. They're not outstanding. They've still got a lot to learn, and they went on to write some fantastic stuff. So I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. Production. It's great production. It's raw. It's plug and go rock, as I call it. Got nothing wrong with that. Very well produced album. When you play the remaster, it actually sounds like they're playing in your lounge. So that's pretty good. So I'm going to give it production. I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Reception. Took a long time for this to become a great album. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the record company not knowing how to promote a record. But it eventually got to gold in the United States. Didn't do much business over here in the UK though, so I'm going to give that a reception of 3 out of 5. Cover design, great cover. It's Kiss. It says Kiss, and you get a picture of the band. Very, very good. So I'm going to give the cover design a 4 out of 5, which gives us Kiss by Kiss a total of 14 out of 20. Okay, let's move on. So, Angel were an American rock band from Washington, D.C., formed in the mid-1970s by Punky Meadows and Mickey Jones. Known for their more flamboyant satin outfits on stage, Angel were actually discovered, as I said, by Kiss bass player Gene Simmons, performing at a nightclub, and he was eventually signed to the same label as Kiss, Casablanca. So, Gene Simmons is what I like about Gene. If he sees a good band, he'll do what he can to help them, which is always pretty cool. So, Angel's debut album, self-titled, released on the 27th of October 1975, and the people in the band are Frank Domino on lead vocals, Punky Meadows lead and acoustic guitars, Greg Graffia on keyboards, mellotrons, Mickey Jones on the bass, Barry Brandt on drums. It was produced by Derek Lawrence and Big Jim Sullivan. First track on here is Tower. I love this track. It's an incredible start. The electronics on this are really good. This is 1975. No one had heard anything like this. It's a really good track. One of my favourite tracks. One of the most popular tracks by Angel. Long Time. This is quite melodic. It's okay. Don't mind that one. Rock and Rollers, solid track. Like the vocals here from Frank. Love the riffs from Punky Meadows. It's a really good track. Then we got Broken Dreams, a little rock track here, quite heavy, like that one. Mariner. A lot of keyboards on this one. It's alright. Sunday Morning. This is my favourite track on the album because them riffs and bass line are terrific. A little bit of Mellotron thrown in and you can't go far wrong, can you? Then we get On and On. A great little rocker here. You can see why Gene Simmons liked them if they were doing things like that. Really good. Then we get this short little thing called Angel Theme to end the album. Lots of Mellotron on this. I like this track a lot. Even though it's short, I love the Mellotron. Okay, what do I think of this album? Well, I love this album. Always have. I mean, I didn't discover Angel till what? I must admit, it was only about 10 years ago. And I thought, wow, these are good. I like the glammy guitar sound. And the keyboards are really, really good. That adds a little bit of extra depth. Again, not much written about this, but AllMusic gave it 2 stars. Didn't chart. Didn't do anything, unfortunately. So, song quality. There's some really good songs on here. Again, they went on to write some good stuff, but the band went on to do other things, members of the band. So it was a good start for them, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Production. Amazing production for 1975. I don't think America was ready for this, because they were doing things that a lot of bands in the UK were doing, but America was just not ready for that sort of keyboard sound. But the production on it is really good. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. Reception, again, sunk without trace, but it's an album that that people did get to like eventually. And they're a bit of a cult band, I think, Angel, especially over here in the UK. I know there's 1 or 2 fans out there. Some notable fans as well. I can think of 2 people that appear on another channel who are British and they love this band just like I do. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 for reception. Cover design. I love this cover. Basic but colourful, eye-catching. So I'm going to give the cover a 5 out of 5 because I think it's a super cover. So Angel by Angel gives us a total of 15 out of 20. Another tough one. I mean, Angel only really won it today on their cover design. Musically, they are both good. I'm going to go against the grain here, and I'm going to go with Angel's debut album as the winner. As much as Kisses is great, what really swung it for me? The Mellotron, because I just love the Mellotron. It just gives the songs a bit more depth than Kisses, and that's only the reason. I mean, I play these albums all the time, so it's not like I don't dislike the Kiss album. Don't get me wrong, I do. I love that debut album, but I just think that Mellotrons and synthesizers, it was the technology at the time was just creeping through, and they used it to the potential. I might have upset a lot of people on that one, but yeah, I am going with Angel today. But no doubt you will disagree with me on this one. You know the usual drill. If you go to the community page, you will find the poll on there on YouTube. And if you're in the live stream tonight, you will vote on that. See, last week, so I won't go into too much detail, it won on one of the social media posts, but the other one, it was the opposite. So your vote does count. Okay, that's all for this one. Next week it's going to be a little bit different, the Battle of the Debuts. It was an idea that was brought up by one of the subscribers. It's still called Battle of the Debuts, but we are going to call it I've Gone Solo. So it's when somebody of a band decides to leave the band and put out a solo album. So it'll be the album that the band working on and the first solo album of that artist. So that's just a bit different. We're doing that during the month of December. I'd already planned this one, so that's why you were going to get it up until the end of December. Okay, I'll be back later for a brand new show. It's part of a thing called Pick and Mix, where we're going to do 4 shows and we're going to rotate them every week. The reason we're doing that, because I asked what was people like to see, and there were 4 really good suggestions, so we just decided to do all 4 on a rotation. So today we are going to start with the UK top 10 from this day, and that's what we'll do. When we go through top 10s, it'll be for that day that the show goes out. So today is the 1st of December, can't believe that, and the year is 1975. So we're going to go have a look at the top 10 for the 1st of December in 1975. Okay, I will see you for that later. Bye for now.